We're given the density function of random variable x, okay, from 0 to 1 for the x values as a plus bx squared, and a and b are constants, 0 otherwise, and also given the expected value of the random variable x as 3/5. So, and with this information we need to find the value of a and b, right? The constants, that is, a and b. So in order to find these constants, you will need a system of linear equations in terms of a and b, right? And that way you will be able to solve for both, right? So the first part is going to be on the left hand side. We're going to use the expected value. We know that the expected value is going to be integrating from 0 to 1 of the product of x and the given function a plus bx squared dx, right? And the probability that we're going to use, we know that if you integrate from 0 to 1, the entire thing, the function from 0 to 1, it will be equal to 1, because that amounts to the entire probability, right? So it's going to be from 0 to 1, the integral of the given function a plus bx squared dx, okay? So this way we will derive a system of linear equations in each of these two cases. So the expected value is 3/5. So from 0 to 1 we're going to have ax plus bx to the third dx. On the right side we will have 1 is equal to, well, actually let's solve the left side, right? So 3/5 is equal to, what is the antiderivative? 1/2 ax squared from 0 to 1 plus b over 4 x to the fourth from 0 to 1, right? Using the power rule of the antiderivative, that is. So we'll have 3/5 is equal to 1/2 a, right? Because we can disregard basically the evaluation, because the 1 doesn't change this 1/2 a, because the x 1 squared is 1, and then the 0 doesn't matter. So we can disregard 1 and 0, right? So 1/2 a plus, and same thing, b over 4, that's fine. Beautiful. So we already have the one equation. Now we need to derive the other. Right, so the antiderivative of this is going to be ax from 0 to 1 plus b over third x to the third from 0 to 1. So 1 is going to be equal to a, and again the x can be disregarded and the x to the third can be disregarded for the reasons being the upper limit is 1 and the lower is 0, plus b over 3. Beautiful. So we have two linear equations in terms of a and b that we derived. Alright, we're going to treat a and b as variables in this case. Even though they're constants, we need to solve for them, so we can treat them as variables. So now let me separate this part here, and I'm going to attach the second equation that we found here underneath it. So let's see what we can do to actually solve for one variable, or a constant, if you will. We're going to multiply the second equation by 1/2. And why are we doing that? We're doing that so that we will have 1/2 multiplied by a. In this way we can subtract then the second equation from the first and eliminate a and solve for b. Right? So as a result we will have this 1/2 a plus b over 4, and this one will become 1/2 is equal to 1/2 a plus b over 6, right, if you do this properly. So b over 6. So now what will happen? If we subtract the second equation from the first, we will have eliminated the 1/2 a. Basically what we'll have is 3/5 minus 1/2 is equal to 1/2 a minus 1/2 a, 0, beautiful, b over 4 minus b over 6. Right, so now as you can see only the b constant remains, so we can solve for b, and then if we solve for b we can use we can use this equation, that's an easy equation, to solve for a, right? So what is this equal to? The least common multiple is going to be 10, right? So 3 times 2 is 6 minus 5 times 1 over the LCM, which is 10, is equal to, now the LCM in this case is going to be 12, so 3b, because 4 needs to be multiplied by 3, right? So 3b minus 4b I'm sorry, not 4b, because 6 needs to be multiplied by 2 in order to get it to 12, the LCM, right? So 2b divided by 12, right? So we have what? We have 110 is equal to b over 12, which means that the b, 12 is equal to 10b, right? I'm just doing this in my head. So that means b is equal to 12 over 10, which is equal to what? Which is equal to 6 over 5. Right, so 6 over 5 is equal to b. Let me circle that. So now we need to solve for what? We need to solve for a using this equation. 1 is equal to a. Well, actually, let's rewrite in terms of let's rewrite and isolate b and make it so that a is in terms of b, right? So a is in terms of 1 minus b over 3, right? I just rewrote this equation so that a is by itself. So a is equal to 1 minus 6 over 5. So 5 will multiply this 3, right? So a is equal to 1 minus 6 over 15. So a is equal to 15 over 15 minus 6 over 15, which is what? 9 over 15. And simplifies as what? 3 over 5, right? If you reduce the fraction. So that's your a and b value. A is equal to 3/5, b is equal to 6/5. Hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.